How's it going, friends? If you're seeing this video as an advertisement, I apologize in advance. But if you live in Armstrong County, Pennsylvania, or any small town that's struggling in the United States of America, this is just too important. So sit back, relax, enjoy the video for the next few minutes, and here's some good news about what's happening in Kittanning. Those of you that clicked on this video because you actually wanted to watch it, thank you. I appreciate you. Let's do this. A little over 6 years ago, we started a project called Summer of Serve. We did it through our church, and we had decided, we want to go and try to clean up properties around Kittanning. We want to try to help people. And so we started out cleaning up yards, and then we realized we could probably do a little bit more. And so we started painting porches and cleaning up properties, and gradually over time, we got better and better at what we did. Well, 2 years ago, we said, we want to really be able to track the progress of what's happening in our city. And so we came up with a system. It took several days of work to put that original plan together, but now we have a simple system that can be reproduced in any small town in the United States. I could teach anyone to do this system in 15 minutes. In fact, let's just cut to last year's video and explain to you in a minute how it works. We went through every property in the borough and ranked it based on two metrics. The first metric was how severe is the damage on the property. We gave it a score from 1 to 5, 1 being the least severe amount of damage, 5 being the most severe. And then we also ranked each property based off of how simple was it to fix. 1 being the least simple to fix or the hardest to fix, and 5 being an easy job that could be done in a day. We combine those two scores to get a total score for every single house. I'll show you in a minute what we do with that data, but first, let me just give you a couple examples so you can see what I'm talking about. A house like this one behind me is possibly the easiest house that you could ever rank. On the severity of damage, it is an absolute 5. There are 0 redeemable qualities about this place. It has a bad roof, it has bad siding, it has boarded up windows, it's been abandoned for 10 plus years. It is a 5 in every single respect. And as far as how easy it is to fix, well, it's a 1. It's a very, very difficult house to fix. In fact, someone would probably be crazy to even take that job on. It probably just needs to be torn down. So that is a 5 and a 1. At the total other end of the spectrum, some things that we mark down are very, very minor in comparison. This house, for example, is a really beautiful house. Obviously, they have done a lot of remodeling and have done a fantastic job in doing it. But when you look at this door, they took out one of the doors in this duplex, and it's just not quite finished yet. That would make our ranking in the total opposite way. So that's a 1 on severity. It's not severe at all. It doesn't detract from the neighborhood really in any meaningful way. And it's a 5 on simplicity. It's very, very easy to fix. In fact, that homeowner will probably fix it before we ever even get to ask them whether they want help or not. But it still makes the list because remember our goal here. We want to measure the long-term impact of the community. And so we want to include as much data as we possibly can. Now those are two extremes. We obviously have those types of properties all across the town and including everything in between. And so we completed a survey in 2019, 2020, and here we are, first day of 2021, and I want to share the results, share with you where we're going to begin this amazing year. How cool are these Christmas lights, by the way? Awesome stuff. That was actually one of our Summer of Serve houses this year, but anyways, that's not important right now. Let's go look at this year's results. All right, I wanted to get in front of the computer here to show you exactly what's going on. Some of you may remember this from last year, but if you want more details, have the link for the video in the description from last year if you want to go through in a lot more detail about what this system actually looks like, but I'll give you the highlights right now. So here we have this year's data, the survey that we just completed, and you can see on here we have a lot of different metrics that we follow. We have the address of the property, obviously, the work that's needed, and then we have those simplicity and severity scores on here, and then we get the total score. So this is the data that we'll work off when we're finding our projects for next year. However, if we go and look at last year's data, we have all the houses here, and you can see we have filled in scores for the end of the year as well. So any score that's actually changed, we color code them. So all the yellow on here are properties that have improved in some meaningful way. Green properties are properties that are completely improved. They went from some kind of score now down to 0. And then we do have some red ones on here, which are actually properties that got noticeably worse over the course of the year. And so at the end of the year, we get these awesome metrics that we can then show to different organizations, and I can show to you guys so that you can share with your friends and hopefully spread the good news about what's going on in Kittanning. So here's what we have. In 2019, you can see there were 30 zeros, 30 properties that went from some kind of score to zero, 52 that were noticeably better, 2 that were noticeably worse for a 13.41% improvement. We were concerned because 2020, thinking maybe this year is going to be a lot less improvement because there's so much less activity happening because of COVID and all the different kind of stuff there. But that's not what we saw at all. We saw a very, very similar improvement to last year. So 22 properties went from some kind of score to zero, 51 were noticeably better, and 3 were noticeably worse. But the net improvement was still 13.21%. Almost exactly the same as last year. Now those are year-over-year numbers, and then we also have a cumulative improvement score. In just 2 years, we've had a cumulative improvement in Kittanning Borough of 24.37%. This is the power of data. When we have the actual numbers in front of us, a lot of us that are positive, people like me that are like really hopeful about the future, I tend to have like an overly positive view of everything. And so when I was telling people, hey, I think it's getting better around here, I wasn't able to actually prove it. But now we can prove it, not just through the numbers, but we have this really cool map as well. Check this out. So this is the map that we have of Kittanning Borough, and this has every single property that we've looked at on here. It has all those same data metrics in it. We keep this map private, but we do share it with local organizations that have a use for it. But this is you can see I have on here selected the start of 2019. That's where we actually began our entire survey process. Then we have the end of year numbers for each year, and then we have the start of 2021 highlighted on here as well. What's really cool, this is that Wilson Avenue neighborhood that we just talked about. When I click off 2019 on here, you can see all of the houses that disappear off of our map. Those are all the houses that are completely done. It's absolutely amazing what's happening in just a couple years. We can also go to other neighborhoods and see the same kind of thing. This would be like where we're trying to focus on possibly next year. You can see there are still many houses that have disappeared off of these neighborhoods, but not nearly as many as like the Wilson Avenue improvement. And so we're looking at these maps and we're looking for opportunities, looking for areas that we might be able to go and work on next. And it's incredibly powerful to look at. And it's really exciting to go and share this with community leaders, with different organizations, and show them, hey, there's some really good things happening. And oh, by the way, if you want to help, we have a place for you. So I am so incredibly pleased with those results in just 2 years, and it just doesn't even, it's hard to believe how much the borough has actually changed in just 2 years. I know a lot of people that live here don't feel like it's happening fast enough, and maybe that's true. Maybe we could go even faster, but the fact is we're moving in the right direction, and we're on pace to change the entire borough in 8 years' time. That is incredible. All that being said, this process has not been without its growing pains. We're continuing to learn things every year. We're continuing to get better and be more efficient. And I have 3 things for you that I think would be applicable to anyone who wants to do this in any small town, or anyone that wants to jump on board with your organization and begin this process of transforming our community together. One of the reasons we began this entire process at all was because sorry, dogs. We really believed that when the houses we were working on, it seemed like the neighbors' houses were improving faster than anywhere else in the entire borough. And so we were thinking, well, maybe when we're doing work, it's kind of like guilting other people into doing work on their house. Or maybe it's just like inspiring people to do it. You know, maybe you've been saving up for a long time, but the dilapidated house next to you or the vacant lot next to you that hasn't been mowed in 6 months, maybe that is discouraging you from investing in your own property. And we've really seen that come to fruition. We're really seeing entire streets begin to transform where there's been targeted efforts to change things. We've seen that begin to happen on several streets throughout Kittanning, but this street is actually Wilson Avenue, and it is the shining example for what this turnaround of a street can look like. Listen to these numbers. Wilson Avenue began 2 years ago in our rating system, okay? There were 73 points of improvement that needed to happen. And as of right now, there are only 37 points of improvement that are left needed to happen on this street. That is a 49.32% improvement. That is almost double the average for the entire borough. And kudos, Wilson Avenue. Now, there are many reasons for the transformation of this street. Number one, we've done a lot on this street through Summer of Serve. Habitat has done a lot on this street as well. They did a house on this street. They've done a lot of sidewalks on this street. There's been a lot of focused effort right here. But most of the transformation that's happened on this street has not been from Summer of Serve, has not been from Habitat, but I think that those two things have been catalysts for the transformation. Now, obviously, there's still more work to do on Wilson Avenue. It's still the home of what I would call maybe the worst house in Kittanning Borough. But that being said, it is amazing what is already happening here, and I have great, great hopes, not only for this street, but for our entire community. Just 4 doors down from the worst house in Kittanning is the brand new Habitat house, which takes me to point number 2. We all know 2020 came with a whole basket of unique challenges, but our local organizations really came together and took the lemons and made lemonade. It's been really incredible to see, and one of the major learnings was like how our different organizations can work together to delegate to what we're really good at. We're obviously far from perfect, but we're learning what we're good at as a church group. We're learning what Habitat is really good at in the community. Our borough is beginning to have more targeted, more efficient codes enforcement, and we're hoping that that's really going to continue in the coming year. And not only that, but Armstrong School District, I believe, recently approved the land bank. And so we should have a new tool from our county in the toolbox to be able to take care of some of our most dilapidated properties. The job that we face to turn around a city is much too big for any one organization to handle. And so we have to find ways to work together. We've really done that over the last few years. And I believe 2020 was an incredible year for figuring out in a better way than ever before how we can work together to bring true transformation. That being said, I think it's still one of our biggest opportunities. And so if you're looking to start something like this in your city, I would say don't be afraid to start small with one organization, but don't leave it there. As you find things that you're not able to do, don't get discouraged, don't get distracted, don't quit. Look for some other helpers that have other resources that you don't have access to, and then share the workload. It's incredible what we can do when we don't care who gets the credit and we really genuinely work together. The last point I want to make, at least for this video, is the idea of targeted areas. When we did our first survey 2 years ago, we had over 300 properties on our list. And so you can imagine that's a pretty overwhelming task. And so we decided this last year, we're just going to focus on one street and see how big of an effect we could make on one street. We chose North Grant Avenue because it runs right along the trail, and we thought if we're going to have 10,000 visitors come through our city using the Armstrong Trail, we want to make that a beautiful place. So we targeted there, and lo and behold, it really worked. We had a great response. We were able to find some awesome projects on North Grant, and we really did make a difference on one street. And so what's really cool now is after just 2 years, we're seeing the map begin to transform before our very eyes. And it's becoming more and more obvious where we might have some future areas where we can target. And so we're seeing different neighborhoods and different streets where we think we can really have a major impact in the coming years. And so we're gonna go and target those areas, and hopefully we'll have people there that are willing to partner with us to improve their street as well. That's it for this one, you guys. I'm planning to spend the first few weeks of 2021 doing some updates and some recaps, and hopefully casting some vision for where I believe that we can go as a city in the coming year. And so whether you're from Kittanning or not, now would be a wonderful time to go ahead and subscribe to this channel. There are many good things on the horizon, and I can't wait to be part of it with you.